Hi guys, Olive here. Today I'm here to do the New York Times by the book tag. This tag was created by Marie Berg, who is a wonderful human being and a wonderful booktuber. I encourage you to subscribe to her. The link to her channel as well as her original tag video are both listed down below. I was tagged by Marie herself and I have been thrilled to do this. I love the questions in this tag. The first question is, what book is on your nightstand right now? As always, I have a few books on my nightstand at all times. I am very close to being done with The Queen of the Nights by Alexander Chee. I'm also working on two of the books I'm reading for the Underhyped Readathon, the first of them being Unfortunate English, and the last being A Year of Russian Feasts. Question number 2, what was the last truly great book that you read? I've read a lot of really great books lately, but if we're talking about a truly great one, I'm gonna have to go with Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. The writing is beautiful. The characters are so raw and real. It is so filled with feeling. I cannot believe that that's Hannah Kent's first book. I was feeling so many things while reading that book, and I really felt like I was in Iceland. It's just a phenomenal book. Question number 3, if you could meet any writer, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you want to know? I feel like when you're a reader, you always expect to be asked this question. I'm the type of reader who doesn't really have a favorite author. That being said, I am dying to meet Anthony Marra. I really want to sit down and have a conversation with him about all things Russia. I think that would be so much fun. A very close second would be Meg Wolitzer. I feel like she would have a lot to teach me. Question number 4, what books might we be surprised to find on your shelves? I'm honestly not sure if anything on my shelves would surprise anyone who knows my reading taste. I read a little bit of everything. There's not like there's one specific genre I won't touch. If I really had to stretch, I would say that maybe all the classics I have on my shelf would surprise people since I've just recently started getting into the classics. I've been acquiring quite a few in anticipation of wanting to read more this year and in coming years. I also think maybe the fact that I have quite a few books by Ian McEwan on my shelves might surprise people because I've never talked about him on my channel before, but I really do enjoy his books. Number 5, how do you organize your personal library? I have actually just reorganized my shelves, if you can't tell by looking behind me. The way that I previously had them organized was fiction and nonfiction were separated, and then they were further separated by paperbacks and hardbacks, and then arranged alphabetically by author's last name, and then the Russian books and the classic books had their own separate areas. My shelves were getting pretty disorganized because I would pull a book out to read, and then it would be difficult to find a book of that exact same size that would alphabetically fit in there. And once I've read a book, if I'm keeping it, I move it to a different shelf. Plus, I had so many books that I've been acquiring lately that they were just stacking up in piles on the floor. And we do not live in that big of an apartment, so space is an issue. So what I did was pull all of my Russian-related books off of this shelf, and I'm moving them into the shelf that we had before we got these shelves, which is currently in our bedroom. So my Russian books are now being given their own shelf. The organization system is very close to what it was. They're still separated out fiction, nonfiction, classics, and Russian literature. But the difference now is that they are organized by size versus author's last name. It was a little bit time consuming to do it that way, but I think they look so much neater. And the bonus of organizing them by size is that when the books are smaller and they're all the same height, you can stack books on top of them very easily. It's working out well. Question number 6, what book have you always meant to read but haven't gotten around to yet? Also, is there anything you feel embarrassed that you've never read? Can my answer just be most of the Russian classics? I think some people assume when they hear I'm interested in Russia that I am an expert in Russian literature. I am not. I've read very, very little Russian literature. If you want an expert on Russian literature, you probably want to talk to Michael from Knowledge Lost. I did not take any literature courses, let alone Russian literature courses in college. In school and then on my own, I have studied Russian language, culture, politics, economics, and of course history. I did read the odd Russian novel for my Russian history courses as well as my Russian language courses, but I am not well versed in Russian literature at all. This is certainly something I want to correct, but seeing as the majority of my interests are in Russian culture, politics, history, I would first pick up a book about one of those things, then I would pick up a piece of Russian literature. That's just where my interests are. Question number 7, disappointing, overrated, just not good. What book did you feel like you were supposed to like but didn't? Also, do you remember the last book you put down without finishing? I'm pretty sure the last time I put down a book was in November, which was Dataclysm by Christian Redder. In terms of a book I felt like I was supposed to like but just didn't, this was a bomb I was intending to drop in the Unpopular Opinions tag, but why not do it now? I did not like The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I won't say I hated it because I didn't. I will say that I really liked the atmosphere of that book. In fact, I think that was the book that made me really love books with a heavy sense of atmosphere. I often go out looking for books that have the atmosphere of The Secret History. But in terms of the story and the characters, I highly dislike that book. I am not someone who has to love a character or want to be friends with a character, and I really enjoy reading unlikable characters. But a character needs to be interesting if they're going to be unlikable. None of the characters were interesting in this book. They were all insufferable and dull. The book was far too long. About 200 pages could have been edited out. A phrase that she overused, which I now hate because of, is awoke with a start. I don't know if she was trying to create tension by using that phrase over and over again, but after about the 15th time I encountered that in the book, I really just wanted all the characters to go see a sleep therapist. And all the characters were constantly asking where each other were. You need to put a bell on them or something? Unfortunately, I was not impressed, and I will never be picking up another Donna Tartt book again. Number 8, what kinds of stories are you drawn to, and are there any you stay clear of? There isn't really a specific type of story I stay clear of. I don't really care for stories that take place in the Midwest. If I get home on the range vibes, not very interested. As I mentioned in my bookish pet peeves video, I tend to steer clear of books set during World War II. I feel like the market is way overly saturated with those. I'm just not attracted to them at all. When it comes to stories I'm drawn to, obviously you know that Russia is a very big pull. Really just books set internationally. I prefer books that are set in a country other than the United States where I live. I want a book to kind of transport me to another world. If I am reading a book set in the US, I do prefer books set in the city, although I'm really tired of books set in New York City. I also really like books that take place at boarding schools, or books about rich people behaving badly in New England. I do really like Gothic books, books told from different perspectives, books that hop around in time and space. After reading The Tsar of Love and Techno, I have discovered this love for books that have interconnecting characters. I like my books to be complex. I like them to make me think, and I like them to make me see my life in a different way afterward. Number 9, if you could require the president to read one book, what would it be? I don't know if I can narrow it down to just one book. It's more of a type of book. I think President Obama and whoever our next president is going to be should definitely do reading on Russian history and Russian culture. US-Russian relations right now are really, really bad. I think our countries have misunderstood each other for a really, really long time. There need to be more American people who are interested enough, who care enough to read into Russian history and Russian culture and understand why the Russians act the way they do. I think it's really important if you want to understand a people to go back and read their history and learn things about their culture and spend time there. I recently read a news article that said that there need to be more people in the government who understand Russia. So yeah, I'll just say Russian history books and books on Russian culture. And lastly, number 10, what do you plan to read next? After I am done with the books for the Underhyped Readathon, I'm planning on moving on to other things the month of March, one of them being The Shadow of the Winds by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I'd like to thank Marie Berg very much for creating this tag, which was amazing, and tagging me to do it. I had a ton of fun. I encourage anyone who sees this video to do this tag, but I will tag specifically 3 people because it's fun. I'd like to tag Vanessa from Chbosky, Stephanie from That's What She Read, and Gemma from Nonfic Books. As always, if you have something you would like to discuss with me, you may post a comment in the comment section. All my social media links are listed down below, including my new Litsy profile. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye.